Oh, the dead don't die.
In this peaceful town, on these quiet streets, something terrifying, something horrifying is coming.
Excuse me, we're closed. Get away from me!
What the hell was it? A wild animal?
This is really awful. Maybe the worst thing I've ever seen.
What was it, wild animals?
So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking zombies.
What?
You know, the undead. Ghouls.
You look gorgeous. Oh my. Are you in this together?
Flesh-eating zombies.
Don't joke, it's really, really creepy.
Oh, man. This isn't gonna end well. They gravitate towards things they did when they were alive.
Called beef.
Chardonnay.
Did she just say Chardonnay?
Yeah, she did.
1, 2, 3. Welcome to my world, zombies.
I've been telling you this is all gonna end badly.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I'm quite confident of my ability to defend myself against the undead.
I can see that.
Excuse me.
Those are some pretty good cuts. You played some minor league ball, didn't you?
Well, a little Class A. It was a long time ago.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Season 2 of the Budget Cinema Podcast. We're going to have our guests rolling in soon. We're going to be talking to other people about movies that they love. And we're going to have interviews with all sorts of cool filmmakers and actors and actresses and everything like that. We're going to be getting into all of that stuff this season. We're going to go hardcore, and it's going to be awesome. But first, couple of things. One, we have a new home. We're over at anchor.fm/, I want to say it's the Budget Cinema Podcast, but let's do this in real time, and let's look together, shall we? But while I'm doing that, what you can do is you can also head over to Ron Pertee. It's actually anchor.fm/Budget Cinema Podcast, but we're going to be on all sorts of places. We're already on Spotify. We're working on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that kind of stuff. But right now, this might be the best way to listen is on Anchor. Or wait for it. You can also go over to youtube.com/Ron Pertee, and you can listen to the episodes on YouTube. It's one of those things. The episodes are never very long. This isn't one of those podcasts that's going to last 4 episodes and be an hour and a half per, and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to be a fun way to talk about movies while I'm in between making them. Makes sense, right? I think so. But I'm also going to be making videos over at youtube.com/Ron Pertee. All roads lead to @RealRonPertee, though, on Twitter. That's the best place to find out everything that's going on. This week on the program, we're going to be topical. Super topical. We're going to talk about the movie The Dead Don't Die, the new film by Jim Jarmusch that is actually, if you're listening to this as it comes out, is in theaters today. Stars Bill Murray, Adam Driver, Chloe Sevigny. I think I'm saying her last name right. Who else? Danny Glover, Steve Buscemi, who, I might add, steals every scene he's in as this. That's the bad part about this movie. Is anything I say is going to give away. You know what? We'll get to it when we get to spoilers. Okay. Who else is in this movie? Tilda Swinton, Carol Kane, Tom Waits, Iggy Pop. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. A lot of Jarmusch regulars and people like Adam Driver, who I hope become Jarmusch regulars. I've never been a huge Jim Jarmusch fan. I like Broken Flowers. I really liked Only Lovers Left Alive quite a bit. I thought it was a great movie. But The Dead Don't Die, it almost... And I read an interview with him where he calls it satire, and it's true, it is satire. There are moments where it goes meta, and it's just so funny the way the deliveries are. And it's almost like the movie was made for me. As I'm watching it, I can't help but... And we'll get into my experience in the theater in a second, but as I'm watching it in the most uncomfortable chair on the known planet, or possibly in the universe, I'm watching it and I'm enjoying it so much. There's a smile on my face, which a lot of movies don't do lately. And this isn't some huge big budget movie that's going to have a franchise behind it. It's a small, you could almost call it indie film, but the problem with that is it's from Focus Features, and this is the first time in I don't know how long I've seen commercials on TV for a Jim Jarmusch picture. I don't know if it's because of all of the stars in it, or if it's because Focus really believes in this movie, which they should, because for my money, this has the satire and commentary of Dawn of the Dead with the humor of Shaun of the Dead, but the humor aspect is ramped up because there is quite a bit of I gotta wait till spoilers before I get into why it's so funny. This is going to be a very short review unless I do spoilers. So at some point we're going to have to get into that. But before I get into spoilers, I want to talk about how bad my film going experience was. I'm not going to name them in the theater, but they overbooked the free screening. They had I think it was 3 or 4 rows of seats just for a specific group of people. Basically said, oh well, when people complained. I ended up seeing it all the way. Imagine a theater, the old theater with the old seats, not the new reclining ones. So, imagine sitting all the way to the right, in the front row, in a chair that is not suited for your rather large frame. My friend and I were sitting there, and we were like up against each other, and it was uncomfortable. I had to put my soda on the floor, because I couldn't put it in the arm and like the thing on the armrest. And I'm all for the old theater experience, but when you book something like this, you've gotta leave some seats open. I mean, granted, this movie was so good, I'm gonna pay to go see it again, just so I can see it in the Dream Lounger and put up with Greg Marcus's annoying face. But that was just horrible. The experience was fine. There's no parking around the theater we went to at all. We had to walk like 5 or 6 blocks to get to the theater on a Monday night. If you know what theater I'm talking about, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I don't know when to tell you to stop and come back. But I think from this point on, it's just going to be spoilers. So what I love about The Dead Don't Die is the premise of how the dead are coming back to life. You got these companies who are fracking the polar ice caps, and the Earth is tilting on its axis, and that's what's making the dead come back. And they don't say brains, which is good, but they talk about the thing that they remember when they were alive, like Iggy Pop walking around, coffee. You know, or you have people walking around with a cell phone going, Wi-Fi. You know, things like that. And it's so on the nose. And apparently Jim Jarmusch's biggest fear is what we're doing to the environment. And one can't blame him. You know, one cannot blame him at all. I'm thinking about these things, and there's one instance where I know I shouldn't laugh, but these kids are being chased by zombies, and they're in like a juvie detention center type thing, and they put the thing under the door almost as if it was a nod to like open shooter scenarios in schools. Adam Driver and Bill Murray stole this movie. They were where the meta stuff came in. It was them, especially when they were sitting in the police cruiser, and that's like the song "The Dead Don't Die" by Sturgill Simpson's playing, and Bill Murray says, "Why does this sound so familiar?" And Adam Driver, as deadpan as possible, says, "Well, it's the theme song." And that's the kind of meta you get. There's certain spoil. I'm not going to give away the ending because the conversation between Bill Murray and Adam Driver at the very end is almost worth sitting through the entire picture. It's one of those situations where you it makes me laugh thinking about it, and the whole Tilda Swinton thing, how she's like this weird undertaker who makes people up to look like clowns when they die, but she's incredibly adept with a samurai sword. And then it turns out that she gets taken up in an alien spacecraft. What? I don't. It's just so funny. But there are some weird things about it. Like Selena Gomez has a great character in the film, but she's barely in it, and they're kind of pushing her as one of the stars. Tom Waits plays Hermit Pete, and he's just fantastic. And now Steve Buscemi, this is why he's so great. He is playing Farmer, I think his name is Frank, and he's a Trumper, basically. There's a moment where he has a red hat on, and it says, "Make America White Again." And his dog is named Rumsfeld, and I can't, I can't stop laughing at how amazing this movie is. It's got everything. It's got satire. It's got comedy. It's got zombies. And I know I'm a zombie guy. That's my stuff. That's my bread and butter. I'll admit that the genre has become lackluster in certain areas, with like The Walking Dead and things like that. But this movie, inadvertently, Jim Jarmusch might save the zombie genre with The Dead Don't Die. This is one of those films that I think is going to, this is my prediction now, I think it'll have a modest box office. It might make its money back, break even a little bit, maybe make a little bit more by word of mouth. And then you're going to get people who turn it into this cultish movie that shows at midnight screenings. The DVD sale and Blu-ray sales are probably going to go through the roof on this one. I know it's Focus Features, but I can probably see Arrow or Scream Factory putting out a deluxe edition of this, which would be great. I mean, it's so weird, and it is Jim Jarmusch, so maybe even Criterion at some point putting out a Dead Don't Die edition would be fantastic. I would love to add that to my collection right next to... It would stand up proudly next to all of my Romero movies. And I would be proud to put it there. So I highly recommend going to check out The Dead Don't Die. It is a hell of a good time. Wow. It's almost like Bill Murray and Adam Driver's characters are a dumbed down Andy Griffith and Don Knotts from the Andy Griffith Show. Almost, because this town's small like Mayberry type thing. But yeah, no, I highly suggest going out and checking out The Dead Don't Die in theaters now as you're listening to this. Support it, because technically it's not some big Disney movie. It's not a big Warner Brothers thing. It's technical. I mean, budget wise, let's look at the budget, shall we? While we're here talking, let's look at what we got, what we're working with here. I mean, it lists itself as a zombie comedy, so it's not like it's. RZA's in it. I forgot all about that. We'll go down the list here in a second because it's a huge list. The budget isn't listed. Thanks, but it hasn't even come out yet technically, and it's already made $2.3 million. You know, so it's. Let's see. Here's a list of people: Bill Murray, Adam Driver, Tilda Swinton, Chloe Spengi, Steve Buscemi, Danny Glover, Caleb Landry Jones, Rosie Perez, Iggy Pop, Sarah Driver, RZA, Carol Kane, Selena Gomez, and Tom Waits. It is just fantastic. Larry Fessenden is in it for all you indie horror folk. I can't get over how great this movie is, and I want you to all check it out because it's definitely worth its time. However, I mean, there's the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, but I don't listen to any of that crap. But and I want the poster. The poster's amazing. Yeah, please do yourself a favor. If you're a fan of comedy, like really dry comedy, and you're a fan of horror, go check out The Dead Don't Die in theaters now. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you're listening to this on one of the many places we're going to be up very soon. Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. We're on Spotify right now, like I said. You can support the show over at anchor.fm/budget cinema podcast. There's ways to do that. Share it. And also go over to youtube.com/RonPerT for another way to listen. And if you want to do it on a monthly basis, we do have the Patreon for RONCO Productions, which this show is a part of. So head over to patreon.com/RonPerT. For as little as $1, you can help support the Budget Cinema Podcast. Next week, we are going to be talking about Us, which will be out on Blu-ray and DVD. And I can't wait to sift through all the bonus features on that for you because I love that movie. It's probably, it's up there for favorite movie of the year. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Oh, the dead don't die.